Well, good morning out there in TV land. It's your boy, Jason, Zombie Collected, and doing a little Jason Handy video. Had done one probably out a week's time, I guess. Thought I'd pop one off real quick. It's a beautiful day here in the neighborhood at Hoosier Land. Maybe kind of beautiful. It's cloudy, overcast day, but I will take it opposed to the alternative, which would be terrible rain and tornadoes and all that jazz. So I'll take this. But, I haven't done a spicy video in a while, but I thought I'd go ahead and do one today because you know what? Why not? I haven't had enough spice in my diet recently. And so I thought I'd just talk about some stuff, which I'm sure will infuriate and rage some, and maybe others will feel the same way I do. And if they don't, that's fine too. I'm can handle it after all the years of me doing these type of things. I'm quite aware of and understanding of how it doesn't always get the best possible response, and that's fine. We have a lot of people that are and just in general, not just in this community, that are just very passive and just live and let live and let bygones be bygones, and just don't want to rock the boat and all that. And everybody has a variety of reasons why they approach things of that sort that way, and that's fine. I'm not here to change anybody's mind. And quite frankly, when you're an older person, it takes a lot. I think we all agree that it takes a lot before you truly are willing and then can change your mind about certain things. When you're younger, you're more impressionable. That's the reason why the Los Angeles Dodgers and sports in general, but we're talking about baseball now, is shoving down the throats of their fans and the American public in general all of this pride bullshit and just not letting it go and just completely alienating people left and right. The Dodgers this past week had some kind of freaking drag queens dressed up like nuns and celebrated them, and they asked them to come and asked them to not come, and de-invited them and then re-invited them again because they were so scared of offending the alphabet mafia that it was just ridiculous. And then they actually had a counter protest, which they hardly don't show this because they don't want anybody to see it, was thousands and thousands of people protesting out in front of Dodger Stadium on whatever Saturday or whatever day it was. And it is absolutely ridiculous that we live in a world now where people's sexuality is being shoved down just regular people's throats who are just trying to go to a baseball game, who are just trying to watch baseball. Absolutely astonishing that we as a society are living in a clown world now. You have a baseball player, that Anthony Bass, who played for the Toronto Blue Jays, who was basically fired because he retweeted a post about not supporting Target and other companies that are shoving down at our children, like people's sexualities and transgender nonsense into our children's faces and just rubbing it in everybody's face. It is out of control. He makes a post and then he gets canceled, he gets fired, and he gets sent packing home. Now, he's crying into his millions of dollars and blowing his nose in his $100 bills, but that's the world we live in now. He can't even pitch. I don't know if anybody will pick him up. He'll probably never play again. Who knows? I understand that they try to say, well, he wasn't that great of a ball player. He struggled this year or whatnot as one of the quote unquote reasons. But we all know that's not the real reason, because there's plenty of players who are way shittier than he is that are still playing. So you're just seeing right now what the world we live in. And the problem is that so many people continue to support organizations like this, where if you don't follow lock and step, holding hands, and joining in this kumbaya that they try to demand you to do, then you're gone. You are ruined. You are fired. You lose your job. You are ridiculed. You are put on blast just because you don't want to hear and have it in your face someone's personal bedroom antics or personal lifestyle choices that have nothing to do with baseball. Literally, drag queens have nothing to do with baseball. Who you sleep with has nothing to do with baseball. Nothing. Explain to me in any scenario where who you bang has to do with the game of baseball. When you go to your home and you close your door behind you and you take it home into your bedroom, who you're going to screw, how does that have to do with baseball? I want to know an explanation. Tell me how that makes sense. Make it make sense. You know why no one will be able to tell you that? Because it doesn't. Celebrating somebody's sexuality makes zero sense. It has from the beginning of time, and then today is the same thing. And these are the reasons why I had left the whole thing in the first place. But between Anthony Bass getting fired from the Toronto Blue Jays and the Dodgers celebrating drag queens that mock religion, mock my religion, Christianity, and let them just parade around just with the nonsense that's literally demonic, it's unbelievable. And, you know, if I was a Dodger fan, modern day Dodger fan, I would be sickened and disturbed and really would have to take some hard looks at what I do to support that team. And I know people have come to me in the past and said things like, you know, well, you can still collect the players that you like because it's not sometimes the player's fault, which is true. There is some truth to that. But when you're still actively going to the games, buying the merchandise, spending the time watching the games, or whatever the case may be, anything that you're doing in modern times to support an organization who is literally mocking you, putting down your faith, putting sick and disgusting, gross things in front of your children's faces, then you have to take, at some point, you have to take a stand and stand up and be like, hold on, wait, is this okay? I just don't know where we're at as a society where we are accepting this. If I had went to a Cincinnati Reds game and there were a bunch of legit strippers running around with all kinds of scantily clad or no clothes at all, there would be a problem. If people were dressed in mocking Judaism or Islam, that would not fly. But it's completely fine and acceptable if they're mocking Christianity. So at some point, you as a consumer have to make a decision on what is enough. When is enough? What is enough? And are you going to do anything about it? Now, I've said this if you've been anywhere near my channel for any amount of years, people know I do not support organizations or businesses with my money that do things like that. I know I am a single drop in the ocean, and I know that my whopping few $100s a year at not spending at Target or not going to Anheuser-Busch or going to a LA Dodgers game or whatever means nothing to these organizations. I have no ideas of grandeur there. However, if you extrapolate that over thousands and thousands, if not shockingly tens of thousands of people, things are going to change. And that's where we're at right now. That is the only way organizations listen, because at the end of the day, the only thing these people listen to is the almighty dollar. That is it. That is what it is. People can say whatever they want. People can believe whatever they want. But when it comes down to the rubber hitting the road, it is, what does the pocketbook say? And that's how I'm going to deliver the product to the masses. And right now, because not enough people are saying enough's enough, they're going to just continue to shove this stuff down our throats, down our children's throats, and they're going to never stop because they don't feel like they have to, because the smallest of a minority voices is screaming the loudest. And they have, I mean, when did your sexuality have anything to do with you buying tickets at a ball game? To my knowledge, never. People go to watch sports, whatever it is, but again, I'm talking about baseball right now, to watch them be entertained, and doesn't want to get into politics or people's sexuality or anything else for that matter. And the fact of the matter is, if those same people who are quote unquote annoyed but actually did something about it, you would see a change in behavior and tactics. It is absolutely unbelievable that we are still in this clown world where we're doing this. You see so many companies losing billions, with a B, billions and billions of dollars, and they're just now starting to get the hint. But they might have to lose trillions apparently before they really get the full, breath of what's happening, because people are getting tired of it. I figured the Dodgers surprisingly would just say, you know what, we're just not doing it. We're going to walk away from it. But they got themselves so deep in the weeds that they had to follow through with it. But you know what? No apology. No, we made a mistake. We're moving away from it. They just buckled down and just got down in the depths and hung on tight. And the thing that's sad is, even though you saw thousands of people protesting, those same people, I mean, I could be wrong, but I doubt it, that showed up at the game like an hour later when the game actually began. And I saw a video of the actual stadium. And I don't know what Dodger Stadium usually looks like on a game, but it looked pretty full to me. So it wasn't like they were really being affected by that in any capacity. That's my point, is that you can protest, but the way you truly protest is with your dollars. That's what people care about. And if you don't want to hear about people's sexuality in the game of baseball or any facet of society because it has nothing to do with nothing, that is how you make your voice be heard. And we're in a place now where that is the only thing that matters. I understand me talking to the cell phone right now, and people who are listening or will listen in the future, it's not going. It's like a ringing gong that does nothing. I understand that. I don't believe I'm making any kind of like change in anything. I just feel like people need to say something, and people finally need to stand up and go, enough's enough. I do not care what people do in the privacy of their own homes, as most Americans, or I would say most humans, do not care. It's none of my business. You don't care about what I think, and I don't care what you think. But what I do care about is not having to shove down my throat, nor my family's throat. I mean, like, call me old-fashioned, but why does that matter when it comes to anything publicly? I don't share my personal views and things in a public forum about what you should do or you shouldn't do, or who I sleep with or who I don't sleep with, or what is acceptable or not acceptable. Because you know what? People don't care, and nor should they. But when you have organizations that sponsor this type of behavior and shove it in your kids' faces, because let's be honest, baseball is a game. It is a game. It is a game that kids play from the time they're 3 or 4 years old until the old softball beer leagues when they're in their 50s or 60s. They are playing this game. It is a game that people get paid millions of dollars at doing, and it's an escapism. Just like when you go to the theater, you go to any other activity, you go whatever. And when you're being bombarded with this nonsense that just has nothing to do with anything, no one cares what you do, but when you shove it in their faces, that's when they care. When you shove it in their children's faces, that's when they care. And then people wonder why they get such blowback, or that people, and I'm like, they get blowback because they don't want to have anything to do with it. No one wants to participate in your bedroom antics. I don't care what you do. You could go in there with 3 dudes, a freaking chimpanzee, a donkey, and a pitching wedge, and when you all come out is none of my business. I do not care. But I do care when you're parading around in front of my kids in their faces like we should be somehow accepting of your lifestyle. It's ridiculous. It has nothing to do when we sit down to watch a baseball game or a movie or a football game or we go to a play or whatever the case may be. It is absolutely ridiculous. And the fact that people are being forced into some sort of submission and being quiet on these teams. I mean, you have a few ball players who have the balls. I appreciate that, Rookie Monster. I'm glad you got that. But I mean, you only have you have Clayton Kershaw, and I think you have a gentleman, I can't remember his name, with the the Nationals, and I think there might have been one or two other guys who've like actually stood up and said enough. I mean, I don't know how many baseball players are on a Major League Baseball roster. Let's say 700. I don't know if that's the right number or not, but let's say around 700, 500 to 700 ball players are on a roster, on all the rosters that are on the 40-man roster, whatever, or executives or managers and coaches and whatever else. And you have a baker's dozen who actually have said something publicly. That is pathetic. And, you know, the same thing was going on with the hockey players. The hockey players had a handful of brave souls, and I will say brave. That's not something I mean, in today's society with what's going on, brave is the correct word when they refuse to bend the knee and say, I'm not participating in this bullshit. And you have a few brave souls that are be like, I'm not doing it. I'm not wearing this stuff. It's against my morals, my values, my religion, or just because they just don't want to participate in your sexual escapades. Like, where is the brave people who will do that? Where are the people who sit up and say, you know what? I don't want to wear this rainbow stuff on my jerseys. And I have heard, shockingly, I guess a lot of these people doing things behind the scenes that are complaining they're not doing publicly, that a lot of teams now are not forcing the issue with making their players wear, or trying to make their players wear jerseys with all of this, pride insignias all over it or whatnot. And they used to make them do it all the time in all the sports. They used to make them wear all that stuff. But I surprisingly have not seen it at all this year. And maybe I haven't heard about it, or I haven't watched the specific games. Or if I saw a game with that on, I would have definitely turned it off. But I haven't seen it. But maybe they just got the memo. So they're in this weird transition. You could tell some of these teams with figuring out what they got in bed with the Alphabet Mafia, and now they can't get out. And now they got to figure out how to try to backtrack as best they can without pissing off those people and their fans who are been there with them from the beginning, who just want to watch the freaking baseball games. So they're trying to navigate those choppy waters, and it's going to be interesting to see over the next couple months and year or two where this all comes out. Are they going to dig in deeper and just keep throwing freaking drag queen nuns in everybody's faces and firing people who don't agree with their the Toronto Blue Jays or whatever your policies are? Or are they going to just let everybody get back to playing baseball? I mean, the Texas Rangers are apparently the only team in baseball that has balls. When we're talking about actual real balls, not people who have fake balls, it's ridiculous. So I appreciate the Texas Rangers team saying, you know what, and from what I gather, just like with the Atlanta Braves, not bending the knee and saying we're keeping the Atlanta Braves mascot logos and all that stuff. We're keeping our team logo and names. You know what? They moved on. The white liberals who are the ones doing all of this cancellation bullshit, they just moved on. They realized the Angels weren't going to do it. Now, guess what? The Cleveland Indians, they definitely succumb to it, and they drink the Kool-Aid, and then they did it. They became whatever they became. I'm still calling them the Cleveland Indians, but the Braves did it, and guess what? The Mafia moved on. They got done. They knew that they didn't have any mark there. They couldn't drag them down, and they moved on. And guess what? The Texas Rangers were like, nope, we're not doing it. And for whatever reason, they maybe just didn't want to participate, not because they don't support certain people's rights. They just were like, it has nothing to do with baseball. What a novel concept that we're not going to do it. They don't have to explain why. They just didn't do it. They don't have to do anything. They don't have to have Christian night. They don't have to have kids night. They don't have to grandparents night. They don't have to have like hot dog and hot dog night. They don't have to do anything. They don't have to explain anything. If they just say, you know what, we're going to open our gates and we're going to play baseball, then guess what? That's great. And you know what? No, people came forward first at the beginning of the freaking month, Pride Month. They came in for it, and then guess what? They moved on. There was like, all right, well, they're not going to succumb. They're not going to be bullied into submission. The Alphabet Mafia just decided to move on because they couldn't control them. And Texas Rangers are doing great, winning games, getting stadiums filled with people, playing good baseball, and they're better for it. So I think every team in baseball, and every sport for that matter, should take a good hard look at what the Texas Rangers did, also what the Atlanta Braves did with the whole name change stuff, and just say no. Just say no, we're not doing it. And hopefully we'll get back to a place where we can just play, again, like I said before, a novel concept. Just play games. Just play baseball, just play basketball, just play football, whatever, hockey, and be done with it. So I'm sure there'll be all kinds of opinions below, maybe, thoughts, ideas, suggestions, and I would love to hear what you have to say. So until next time, guys, thanks for listening. Peace.